Hello again and welcome. I'm Matt Ellsworth, Genealogist to the World, and this is the weekly report for the week ending May 17th, 2019. We have several items this week. I want to update you on Afghanistan. I talked in one of my last videos about what to do if your ancestors are from Afghanistan. I haven't had any queries or comments on that, so I've looked up some things and what more is available. I'm going to update you on how the Cyprus genealogical database is advancing. We're going to talk about a query I got from a viewer in Pakistan about the Khand family, Khand. And finally, we're going to talk a little bit about African American genealogy so that we can compare. First, on the update of Afghanistan, I looked at Ancestry.com. They have the unique capacity in their search to allow a search without a name, just by a place. And by searching for Afghanistan, I've come up with 816 results for people on passenger lists, 3,077 for citizenship records, mostly, unfortunately, recent records. In the United States Census of 1940, there are a number of Afghanistans, and getting into those records might show family relationships to some extent. So there is some to be had at Ancestry.com, but not much. Then turning to FamilySearch.org, much to their credit, even though they don't have anything of civil registry or other such registers from records from Afghanistan, they have made available the Who's Who of Afghanistan 1975. And in that work, Ludwig Adamek, publishing in Austria in 1975, did one section on who's who in Afghanistan at that time, 1975, and another section on who was who in Afghanistan from, say, 1800 up to 1975. And that is 512 pages. The names appear in English. It is published in English, but the names also appear in the Arabic alphabet as they would appear in Afghanistan. So that full 512 pages has been scanned and is available for viewing at FamilySearch.org. You go to the search button and drop down to catalog, and it will default to the place search. You put in Afghanistan and then look under the genealogy link, and you will find Who's Who of Afghanistan 1975. Now, the Cyprus genealogical database that I've been working on for a couple of years, every time I get it over 25,000 names, which is where I want to start it at for a publication and a subscription, I then edit it and it drops well below 25,000. So rather than simply say I'm going to stop editing, I am going to stop looking so hard at duplicates. What happens is, I'm not going to pick one up right now, but I get a village history. And it starts down with a man and his children, his wife and their children, and their spouses and their children. And it might say that a son married a woman and they had these children. Well, later I'm doing another family, and it says this man had this wife and these children, and they had this daughter who married this man and had this children. Well, that daughter is that woman that I already entered separately, and the children are already entered. And it's hard to correlate. It's hard to cross-reference those and eliminate them. So now I'm not going to try so hard. I'm going to get it up to 25,000 and put it online as a subscription database. Next, Pakistan. I had a query, an email message from a man who was of the Khand family, the Khand Sayyids. They are of Punjab, and they have had a long history there. He found me by looking at the Pakistan page on Facebook that I maintain, Pakistani Genealogy Facebook page. And he found an entry there for the Khans. I looked through the index of the book, which I have made available in full, scanned and available at www.radixmundi.com, RADIXMUNDI. That's my genealogy website. And by clicking on the Pakistan links, you can view the entire 700 plus pages There is not a full name index, but by looking for the conned name, not alphabetically, but as part of other names, I found 4 entries and shared with him. And it actually told quite a bit about where they began, how they took the name, where they moved from, what areas they were in at this time. So that was quite useful. And finally, let's talk about African American genealogy a little bit. Some of the biggest family organizations in the United States are African American. They hold reunions, they gather what records they can, and they share them well. They're very admirable family associations. African American genealogy is American genealogy back to the point of slavery. That is, you can find their marriage and birth and death records among the civil records. You can find burial records on the internet. You can find military records. You can probably also do some Google searches and maybe find some biographies or references to what they did with their lives, when they died, maybe obituaries, which for you Africans, that's the necrology. Americans put a story in the newspaper when someone dies describing their life and who they were related to. Well, when you get back to slavery, between 1860 and 1870 is when it was abolished. Getting back before then depends largely either on family recollections that maybe were preserved or on church records. Because before 1870, the census records were divided into free schedules for non-slaves and slave schedules. In many instances, the slave schedules had only ages and genders, male and female. In some cases, they had first names, and in very rare cases, they had full names. So to get back before 1870, one has to look at other records. There are also now fully digitized through FamilySearch.org, the Freedmen Bureau records, which is when the slaves were freed, there were government programs to provide them with loans to help them get started in business and to run their farms. Hundreds of thousands of names can be found in those records, and it then does go backward, allowing someone to tap into those records and go back before 1860. Of course, let's remember that if someone is a freed slave in the 1860s and they are 60 years old, then when they die, and their records may be available locally, or when they're named in the 1870 census, we see birth dates going back very near to 1800. And that, in the United States, is about as good as one can do. Now, Alex Haley's saga, Roots, which made famous the search for African American roots in Africa, was a very, very rare thing. For the most part, an African American can go back to maybe about 1800, and on only very rare cases and through extreme research can they get a connection to Africa. For the most part, that's done now by DNA telling them what tribe they're from or what region, West Africa, East Africa, South Central. And that's just about the best that can be done. But the day may come when more recollections will be had and better connections can be had, and the African Americans can all understand quite specifically where their ancestry is from in Africa. Another truth is that it's very intermixed. They might find that their ancestors are from several places in Africa, as in the American experience, we have all mixed greatly. That is the Week in Genealogy for the week ending Friday, May 17th. Thank you for watching. Oh, one last administrative note. No more videos in French and Spanish. I was doing it in the 3 languages. Someone told me that my French was terrible. Horrible was the word they used. And also, I haven't seen many viewers to those videos, so I will no longer be doing the Spanish and French versions of these. If you want that, let me know, and I will begin again. Thank you. Matt Ellsworth, genealogist to the world. Goodbye for now.